Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. We are just starting the program.
Madhuri.
Thank you for logging in. You to come here. I welcome you all again for the celebration at MAAD, and it's on. We will start this program with a song by PhD student Miss Prerana. She's going to sing a song, an ode to strengthen the indefinable courage which is there lying within each woman.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to sing. दीवारें ऊंची है गलियां है संग गंभीर डगर है पर हिम्मत है संग पाँवों पे चढ़े झुकाते बुलंदी जरूरी चली हूँ आजादी की जंग देखो आजाद है जीना मुझे देखो आजाद है की जंजीर उठा गई जंग, न्याय के मंदिर भी हो गई भंग, जमाना चलेगा चले मेरे संग, बोलूंगी हल्ला आवाज दबंग, देखो आजाद है कहना मुझे, 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 टूटे जिस्मों पर मरहम उमंग, ढाश नहीं हूँ मंजिंदा पतंग, दिल में उम्मीदें और खुशियों के रंग, हर आंसू बनेगा इस नई तरंग, देखो आजाद है रहना मुझे, 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 दीवारें ऊंची है गलियां है तंग, बंदी डगर है पर हिम्मत है संग, पाँवों पे छोड़ी है सांसें बुलंद, लड़नी चली हूँ आजादी की जंग, देखो आजाद है जीना मुझे, देखो आजाद है रहना मुझे, देखो आजाद है जीना मुझे, देखो आजाद है रहना मुझे।
Thanks so much. It was really a mesmerizing song. As all of us know, the first International Women's Day was celebrated on 8th March 1975 by the UN. And as the UNESCO rightly says, it's a day to recognize the extraordinary acts of women and to stand together as a united force to advance the gender equality. And this year's theme is also suggesting the same, gender equality for a sustainable tomorrow. So this is in recognition and celebration of the women who are participating in climate change, adaptation and response, so that we have a very sustainable future for the next generations to come. With this, I would like to thank and also welcome the seniors present here with a token of warm greetings and a symbol of life. May I? First for Dr. Taru Sharma, our Director NAB. Next for our ex-former director, Dr. Sudhir Mazumdar. Dr. Sonu. For our seniors here. Next for Dr. Hegde. This year's Women's Day celebration is even more special for us because here we have a brave, a strong, a more confident and inspiring women to lead us. So I welcome you, ma'am, to please give us a welcome speech and initiate the celebration.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Madhuri. Very good afternoon and greetings of the day to one and all present in this hall. Happy Women's Day to everyone. I can see Professor Lalita is already with us. Thank you very much, madam, and thank you very much for accepting, and thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure, ma'am. It's my pleasure.
I was late by 3.5 minutes. I came from somewhere. So thank you for waiting also. Our women days theme and all, Dr. Madhuri is already informed. And the team has really planned and worked it in a very, very nice manner. We are going to have two talks now. And at 4 p.m., we would be having Dr. Chandrima Saha, who would give a motivational speech to all of us on this day. And we thought that who else would be a better choice than the very first president of INSA, Dr. Saha. So we really thank her. She's right now giving a lecture at NASI headquarters, online, of course. So she would be joining. And I really thank Dr. Hegde for accepting this talk, and we'll be really looking forward to hear that. And the song I cannot see it. Yes, it was such a nice song, and I was absorbing each word of it. Very nice choice, and you sang it very nicely, very nicely. Thank you for that. And with that, once again, I wish everyone a happy Wednesday. We look forward for the Professor Lalita's talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Ram, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Madhuri, and it's a very important day for all of us. And it is not that there is no equality, there is, but I think it is a day where we should praise all kinds of sacrifice and help which the society gets from women, including starting from our birth. And we should be grateful. And what is important, that what I believe, that a strong woman knows that I have enough strength to cross the journey. And a woman of strength knows and understand that while covering this journey, I will become very strong. So this is the woman, and what Madhuri said about environment and sustainable development and growth. I think if we respect women, that will be important for sustainable development and growth of any country. Thank you.
Badly, somewhere we are there.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. We welcome you. Thank you very much for joining. We're just going to start the first talk.
Now we're going to listen to the motivational talk by Professor Lalita.
Women's Day greetings to all.
Talk by Professor Lalita, who's a
Can I start?
ma'am, I'm just going to introduce.
Sure.
Professor Lalita is a faculty at Center for Organization Development at Hyderabad. She's an expert in training program, design and delivery. She has conducted several leadership development programs and long duration workshops on strategic and collaborative leadership. She specializes in activity-based experimental learning and time management, mentoring and coaching, emotional intelligence, awareness and understanding of self, building positive organizational culture, women at work. Now, Professor Lalita is going to speak on achieving balance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Women's Day greetings to all of you, irrespective of the gender over there. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizers at NIAB for inviting me to be a part of this celebration. When I received a call from an IAB, I was slightly in a dilemma because the occasion is International Women's Day and my audience include working men, women, research scholars, and students too. It's a kind of composite group and I need to deal with a neutral topic. Initially, I was at loss. What to speak was one question. And how can I really convey what I want to convey within the limited time of 30 minutes is another question. Finally, I could arrive at this particular gender neutral yet important aspect of each one of our lives. That's where I'm going to deal with something called achieving balance, maybe through time management and boundary management. Okay. In the process, I try to facilitate a bit of self-awareness, and I do trust it will help us in one way or the other in our lives. My talk is not going to be a simple lecture. Maybe I keep showing some of the slides and I do slightly interact with you and hope it will suit all of us, right? I'm just sharing my screen right now. Can you see anything?
Madam.
Yeah. Can anyone relate with what has been written there? Nod, hand raise, something like that, so that I'm in touch with you. Is there any one single person who can relate with the statement that has been made, or no, it doesn't apply to us?
Yes, it does.
Okay, maybe some of us can relate with what I am saying, right? So it's a kind of frustration, it's a kind of overwhelmed feeling, it's a kind of sometimes helplessness, helplessness, whatever you name, we all experience that kind of feeling, emotions, and remain in such kind of mood. And that's where today we are going to talk a little bit about achieving balance, right? We all are responsible towards our family, work, children, community, etc. All these compete for our valuable attention. While paying such attention, we do let our schedules rule us rather than dictating our own life terms. That's where we miss certain amount of balance in our lives. Sometimes it may feel that we are moving through a life where we have no choice. One or two important areas of our life have been thoroughly neglected, and we often repent for neglecting at a later point of time. And we cannot live in that kind of frustration or fatigue or health-related problems for a longer time. There is a requirement on all our part to introspect, retrospect what is happening with our life, where we are really stagnated, got stagnated, what is really blocking us. These are some of the issues that we may have to look back and understand. As a part of that, we are just trying to create certain amount of awareness in this particular talk that I'm going to have with you. And if you can see another slide, you don't have to put it on the paper, but you just write it in your mind, or maybe in the mobile that you have, you can create a small note for yourself at least try to identify two things that if you would have done on a continuous basis or on a regular basis or maybe in a disciplined manner would create tremendous impact in your life.
Madam, please share your slide, madam.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sliding. One second. I'm so sorry. Maybe just put it on your whatever document you might be having, or just register in your mind, or maybe on your mobile note, wherever it is possible. Just write to yourself. There might be any one or two things that if you would have done on a regular basis, continuous basis, or in a disciplined manner, would have created tremendous impact on your life, whether it is personal life, work life, family life, whatever that you treat. Just keep it to yourself. You don't have to share with anybody, right? And another important thing that you have to figure out for your own self is what exactly balance means to me. Balance is not something general to all of us. It is rather relative to each one of us. For me, balance is something. For you, balance is something. For the third party, balance is something else. It's okay to have difference of opinion when it comes to choice or maybe choosing the life priorities, whatever it could be, it's all acceptable. Balance means something specific to a particular person. That's important for us to understand. At the same time, it's also important for me to figure out what balance means exactly to me, not to the person sitting next to me or not to the person who is sitting in front of me. What really it means to me should be known to me in order to achieve any amount of balance in our lives. That clarity I need to have. It's a kind of direction that I'm going to have in my journey. It's a kind of destination that I'm trying to arrive at. Hence, it's important for me to understand what balance means to me. That's where I just ask you this question. You can write the answers for yourself, keep with you. And as a part of this particular lecture, I would like to handle the topic achieving balance from two fronts. Number one, it is through time management, and the second one is through boundary management. There are many other ways that you manage balance in your life. Since time doesn't permit, I'm just going to touch only these two areas, right? And since you have written for yourself what balance means and what are those two important things that you do on a regular basis would have a great impact in your life. If at all I have to put from my side, having control in life involves putting the first things first. In my life, whether it is professional life or personal life, there are certain things that must come first, and those things need to be placed above everything else in my life. That's when I can figure out the ways to achieving balance. So we can have certain amount of control on our lives when we have figured out what are those first things that should always occur to me first, come to me first, then I'll be able to achieve certain amount of control and balance in life. Those first things are nothing but the priorities that I'm chalking out for myself, the goals I might have written for myself some time back, maybe when I was in my prime age, teen age, or whatever age it could be, whatever priorities that I have set for myself. It could be God, it could be family, it could be relationships, it could be career, it could be anything that I am setting for myself. I am responsible for choosing my priorities, and those priorities bring me certain amount of balance in my life. That needs to be clear for all of us. And These priorities could be something like this. It could be exercise, it could be service to the society, it could be time for self, it could be reading, it could be publishing, it could be teaching or doing certain amount of academic, whatever you are passionate about. If you are consistently doing that, that can bring a lot of balance in our own lives. If you can just look at these two jars that I have just added to this PPT, since it is not an interactive classroom lecture that I'm giving, I just would like to explain to you. When you look at one jar, it is filled with so many trivial things, petty things that might not matter to us. When we are filling our lives with these petty things, trivial matters, trivial works, we will not have any space for bigger rocks that matter to us in our lives. The same amount of pebbles, rocks, sand has been put in the next jar. You can see the bigger ones have been placed first, then the pebbles, then the sand, then the water. Everything got filled and still we are left with certain amount of space. Hence, it's important for us to understand what matters to me. What are my big rocks in life? What kind of efforts do I need to make in order to achieve those big rocks, in order to prioritize for those bigger rocks? This is the best similarity we can show when it comes to organizing our putting first things basically requires an amount of shift in our attitude and a particular kind of discipline that we have to develop. And it's a kind of habit that we are creating newly for ourselves, which is called as new wiring. Our brain is hardwired to behave, think, act in a particular manner. We cannot totally do away with the existing hardwiring in any case. At the same time, we all have an opportunity to develop a new wiring alongside the hardwiring that is existing. So it's a kind of habit that we are creating for ourselves, and it will help us realizing our own personal vision. And when we look at the time management matrix that has been suggested by Stephen Covey, who has written the book 7 Habits of Highly Influential People, he has given the time matrix like this. All of us, each one sitting in this room, including me, have got these 4 quadrants in our life. In our day, in our week, in our month, we have all these 4 quadrants. And those highly effective people would be essentially working in one quadrant. And it's important for us to figure out which quadrant is that. For example, if I'm spending a lot of time in quadrant 4, where I'm involved in trivia, I look very busy the whole day. I indulge in trivial works. It could be checking my WhatsApp messages. It could be going back again and again to my status updates, or maybe emailing, whatever trivia that I'm right now handling, dealing with, indulged in. Some of us have developed a new habit during the Corona time, which is going through the YouTube. You have seen people doing a lot of business with YouTube, and any time he would upload a video, we would be just indulging, watching it aimlessly just to pass our times. That itself could be blocking us from doing certain important things in our lives. It's important for us to understand that we are doing all that trivia essentially to escape from the serious matters, important matters that matter to us in our lives, that bring a lot of difference in our lives, that can have a great impact in our lives. So if at all I am indulging myself in any of the time wasters, the way I have just discussed, for a female also, similar kind of things you can see when you are at home. When you have to prepare for your own lecture, when you have to write your own paper, you are indulging in 1,000 other petty things, which can be outsourced, which can be done at a cheaper cost, which can be handled by somebody else. If I'm indulging in that trivia again and again, I will not get any time for myself. Fortunately, all of us have got that 24 hours equally without any partiality, any biasness. And the second important quadrant looks very urgent, but not important. The fourth one always looks urgent and important. The third one always looks urgent, but it is nowhere important for us. It is all about interruptions, dealing with some phone calls, mails, etc., whatever it could be. But these activities are leading us nowhere. And we also have another quadrant, which is called as important and urgent. We always have certain things in our life which are really important, really urgent. All that things fall under quadrant 1. We always firefight, manage crisis, manage something in the last minute. All those things come under quadrant 1. We try to meet our deadlines. We try to submit our proposals, maybe reports on the last day. All these things come under quadrant 1. And there is another quadrant, which is called as quadrant 2, which is highly important, but it never looks urgent. It never looks urgent for us. And that quadrant is the most important quadrant for all of us. Now, whatever that you have written for yourself, those two things in the initial interaction, whatever two things that you have noted for yourself, see where they might be going. Those two things essentially go into quadrant 2, where we are focusing on preparation, where we are creating certain amount of value, where we are strategizing, where we are planning, where we are building our relationship. It could be with our own family members, it could be with our own relatives, our friends, family, networking, whatever is coming, or maybe I'm focusing on my own empowerment, development. It could be studies, it could be your own play, it could be anything that you are investing on yourselves. Whatever two things that you have written for yourself would always go into quadrant 2. Just because it doesn't look urgent, we always try to ignore this quadrant. Whoever has become successful in life, whoever has led a balanced life, they have always spent greater amounts of their time in quadrant 2 than any other quadrant in their lives. Hence, it's important for us to invest more and more time in quadrant 2 in order to achieve certain amount of balance in our lives. And when you look at the nature of this quadrant 4, where I'm busy checking my WhatsApp messages, emails, or dealing with some daydreaming, etc., or maybe indulging in petty work or time wasting activities, that particular quadrant is often called as regret quadrant. Whatever time that we are spending in that quadrant always makes us regretful. And the third quadrant, where we are essentially dealing with interruptions, this particular quadrant is called as deception. And quadrant 1, where we are firefighting all the time, dealing with urgent and important matters, is something necessary, something necessity. And quadrant 2 is always providing us with an opportunity. It's important for us to realize where we are investing our time, where we are spending maximum amount of time, especially when it comes to students. It's important for us to understand where we are investing our time. If I'm investing more and more of my time in quadrant 4, this could be my situation. I'm spending all my office time or maybe my work time in relaxing, just taking care of social media, posting, status updates, this and all. Or maybe I'm spending more on domestic work, maybe organizing my kitchen, organizing my wardrobes, whatever might come under trivia. If I'm investing more and more time here, I will end up aspiring to be mediocrity. I will not grow in my life. I will not grow in my career. It's important for me to understand the beginning itself. And people, when they are in the habit of wasting a lot of time in this quadrant, are thrown out of organizations. They end up unemployed. It's important for us to realize this fact. Another important area is quadrant 3. I really do not know how to say no. I really do not know that I can't attend this meeting, or maybe I can't handle this activity. I can't take up this responsibility. I am trying to mobilize each and every request that is coming to me, each and every guest that is entering my room. My room is always open. I can't say no to people entering into my room. I'm always busy in one meeting or the other. And in the process, I am getting more and more busy going nowhere. That's very important for me to understand. Whatever work that I'm doing in this particular quadrant is no way helping me to grow either personally or professionally. And if I'm investing more and more time in quadrant 1, maybe the time that I'm spending in quadrant 4, quadrant 3 is automatically making my quadrant 1 burdensome all the time. You can look at the space that is occupied by quadrant 1. It is occupying more time than any other quadrant. Just because I spent a lot of time in quadrant 4 and 3, I end up firefighting all the time, attending the things in the last minute, submitting everything in the last minute. So that basically is causing a lot of stress to me all the times I am dealing with important and urgent things, important, urgent. So when I'm in that mode, it leads to several stress related problems. It leads to psychosomatic problems. Hence, it's important for us to understand where am I investing my time as an employee, as a student, as a research scholar, whatever role I'm playing right now. And those people who are investing in quadrant 4 have every possibility of achieving balance, because I'm planning, I'm preparing, I'm investing on my health, I'm investing on my career development, I'm investing on my recreation, I'm investing on my time for God, on my time for relationship building. All these things, when you are able to invest, you are in a position of balance, which means I'm more calm, I'm more composed, I'm under control, my time is in my hand. I'm not in the hands of my schedule. I'm not running, leading the life the way it is taking. It's important for us to invest more and more time in quadrant 2 in order to achieve certain amount of balance in our lives. If I'm exceeding time, kindly remind me. Okay. So if at all I'm investing my time in regret quadrant, it's important for me to totally eliminate that quadrant so that I can get some more time to spend in quadrant 2. If I'm spending a lot of time in deception or interruptions, it's important for me to delegate whatever miniature work, menial work that I'm doing to other people so that I can take some time out and invest in quadrant 2. And whatever is making you stressful, whatever is causing stress within us, it's important for us to do at the earliest possible time. So the more these 3 quadrants get shrinked, we keep getting more time for quadrant 2. So this is one way I can bring certain amount of balance in my life, control over my life. Another important thing is As an individual, it's important for me to understand my threshold levels. We often think that we can do anything. I'm a can go person for anybody and everybody. Each and every person has got similar amount of time in their lives, similar amount of work in their lives. It's important for us to understand there are certain things that I can do, there are certain things that I cannot do. It's important for me to understand I do have a threshold level. I cannot catch hold of each and everything in the name of a superwoman or a superman. So what are those things that I need to let go in the official context? In the domestic front, it's important for us to understand what are the things, 1, 2, 3 things that I can let go. What are those things that I need to personally invest my time or spend my time on that particular activities. So it's important for us to, yeah, I'm exceeding.
No, yeah, 5 more minutes to go.
Okay, fine. So that is one area for me to work. Another important area is multitasking syndrome. We all have developed certain amount of multitasking syndrome. Maybe it is considered to be an important thing these days. Okay, while talking to somebody, I can text. While texting to somebody, I can do something else. Okay, so this multitasking is a kind of cognitive shortcut we all have. Our brain very quickly develops certain amount of shortcuts. It allows you to do number of things simultaneously. But when we are focusing on number of things simultaneously, number one, we are not doing any one thing to our own satisfaction. That's important for us to understand. Second important thing is the brain also gets exhausted when I'm focusing on multiple things at one time. So whatever multitasking syndrome as a woman that you have, maybe as a parent that you have, it's important for you to look at that and understand to stop doing it. Another important thing is it's important for us to build the no muscle. Somebody comes with a request, we oblige. Somebody comes with some kind of urgency, we oblige. If at all I want any kind of balance in my life, it's also important for me to develop my no muscle. I must learn how to say no in a polite manner. Yes, you wish to, you love to do that, but you don't have the time. It's important for you to convey that, communicate that to the other party. Otherwise, you're always a go-getter. You're always getting dumped. So many other things. So you can't be the go person all the time. Can handle person all the time. Another important thing is asking for what we want. The most important problem in our lives is we do not communicate enough with our own spouses, with our own bosses, with our own colleagues, or maybe with our own teachers or students. The moment we start expressing what we want, what we feel, how we feel, half of the problems might get resolved. So if at all I require any kind of support, help, I have any, maybe in terms of infrastructure, in terms of networking, whatever support that you might be requiring at home or maybe at work, it's important for you to ask for it rather than expecting the other party to understand what you need. So another important thing is building a support network, whether it is your family, there could be some important people for you who can really energize you when you are totally discharged of energy, when your entire fuel is drained. It's always important for you to identify such kind of people and remain in the good company of those people. Maybe you can plan some trips with those people, or maybe you can have a meet once in a week so that you can have certain amount of ventilation for your frustration or pent up feelings. So these are some of the ways that we can achieve balance. The two ways is one by managing our own limited time, which is a scarce resource. Another one is managing our boundaries. What I can do, what I cannot do. When should I say yes, when should I say no? What are my support networks? And these are some of the things I just wanted to convey through my lecture. hope I could contribute a little bit or add a little bit of value to whatever knowledge levels that you already have. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Can I leave?
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very stimulating and useful talk. A lot of wonderful metaphors and metaphors, which we are sure will be useful to all of us, students especially. Now we have a talk by Dr. Nagendra Hegde, scientist head NIA. Now he needs no introduction to us. He's one of us. He's always erudite, insightful. His thoughts are always intellectually stimulating. So his talk today is titled Random Musings on Tungsten and Iron. So let me guess, and the chemists in the crowd can approve or disapprove. Tungsten's symbol is W and iron's is Fe, which one would presume stands for woman and the female. Plus, tungsten happens to have the highest melting point after carbon, giving it the toughness of nature. And iron is often a synonym for will and courage, which I'm pretty sure is an allegory to the strength and toughness of a woman. So before taking more of your time, let me have Dr. Hegde on stage. Sir.
Good afternoon, and wish you all a happy International Women's Day. He has already stolen my talk. When Madhuri asked me that I have to deliver a lecture, I had to think twice, because 2-3 different things. I can really talk well if it's my science, but it's difficult to talk something on an International Women's Day, and also after lunch. So I'll try to make some sense into what I mean by this topic, and also I'll try to give some gleanings about who my favorite women are. So first things first, I like this diagram that I took it from the web, because it's March 8th and it's depicted in the form of a woman and a female. So the first thing is, we were all once in the womb. So we were all, I mean there's a saying, we can't choose our parents. So we were all born in a womb. And a mother is she who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take. So I have my utmost regards to my mother. I'm not putting up her picture here. And also, mom is a reflection of wow. So with that, I start with a little bit of introduction about my own family. I'm really grateful to them for the sacrifices and the love. I am what I am because of various people, but there's a lot of background and support from all of them. My favorite woman in science is Maria Sklodowska, famously known as Madame Curie. Why? I'll go through a series of 3 slides and you will understand why. And as somebody mused, she was Pierre's biggest discovery. Pierre Curie was her husband. Initially, she was born as a very rich girl. However, her parents lost a lot of their property because they were during this war and they wanted to contribute to the country. So they contributed most of their property to the good cause of patriotic involvement. She spent 2 years after secondary school in the countryside tutoring. This is immediately after secondary school, teaching mathematics. She couldn't enroll in higher education because she was a girl. People wouldn't take her. So she had to actually enroll in a secretive university to learn higher education. She did 2 years of tuition again to help her sister do medical school in Paris. They had a contract. So what she said to her sister is, if I spend 2 years, can you spend 2 years for me later on for my education? This was their pact. She was invited by her sister later on to join medicine in Paris, but she curtly declined. Why? She didn't have money. Then again, she tutored 2 more years to earn more money and then joined the University of Paris, where she was studying during the day and tutoring in the evening to make ends meet. So she was on her own well before you can even think of, even as a girl child. She was denied a position in her own nation, which is Poland, at the Krakow University. And because she was denied a position, she came back to Paris. Remember, she doesn't have yet a PhD. She did not have a dedicated lab. In fact, most of the work that she did with her husband was in a car shed, a very small shed. She did not have her own laboratory. There was no funding. In fact, some of the initial funding came from industry that was using the work she was doing. And she was beaten for the discovery of thorium radioactivity by 2 months. You can imagine how devastating she may have been, but she didn't give up. And she had to process 1 ton of pitch blende ore in order to get 0.1 gram of pure radium. You can imagine the amount of work that these 2 people put in. She was the first woman faculty of the École Normale Supérieure in 1900. Then she got her PhD at the age of 36. She was then invited to speak at the Royal Institution in London, but she was not allowed to speak. Instead, Pierre had to speak on her behalf because she was a woman. She was not recognized at first by the Nobel Committee because she was a woman. And somebody in the Nobel Committee who had soft corner towards women complained to Pierre. And Pierre went up against the committee. He said, if you have to give me the Nobel Prize, you have to give it to her. That's how she got the Nobel Prize. And the first lab assistant that she hired was from the Nobel Prize money. She did not have funds. She still had no lab. And Pierre had to complain to the University of Paris. So only after this was she provided a little bit of a laboratory. She was the first woman professor at the University of Paris, and that too, it happened after her husband's death. Her husband was a professor because he died in a car accident, and that position fell vacant. So they had to fill it, and they filled it with her. She was not elected to the French Academy of Sciences when she was put up in 1911. She was strongly resisted. Indeed, for the first woman in the French Academy of Sciences was in 1962. She was almost prevented from speaking at the Nobel ceremony in 1911. This was actually the second Nobel Prize. The first one was in 1903 for physics. The second one was for chemistry in 1911. She, in fact, should have won another Nobel because the discovery saved thousands of lives in the World War, in the First World War. The use of radiation and the X-ray that was being used for treating the wounded patient was so useful to the French army. Okay. However, her daughter got a Nobel Prize. This is one of the very rare occasions where, parent and the F1 have got a Nobel Prize. So you can imagine the amount of difficulties that she went through and yet achieved a lot in her life. The second person I'd like to mention is Melkote Subbarao Shaila. She was my mentor in the beginning of my career. my master's, which is Master's in Veterinary Science, was done in her laboratory. She is a retired professor of molecular biology, microbiology and cell biology in Institute of Science. She's a molecular biologist who worked on rinderpest and PTR viruses. Those who are in veterinary sciences will know what this is. In fact, she reported the first disease occurrence of PTR in India and isolated this strain called the Arasu strain. Has never been appreciated much for her work in veterinary virology. In fact, she was instrumental in getting my MVSC and also probably my first grant after returning to India. She is still a constant well-wisher. Whenever I go to Bangalore, I try to meet her, and she's always excited to meet me. So with that, why tungsten and iron? As I told, he's already stolen part of the, so I'll repeat that. The strongest metals on Earth, these are the 10 strongest metals on Earth. Tungsten is the strongest, followed by steel. But remember, steel is about 98% iron. Rest of the 2% is carbon, manganese, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, and oxygen. And iron is in fact the 6th most common element in the universe and the most abundant in total composition of the Earth. So iron is Fe, tungsten is actually W, which originally came from wolframite, which I can convert to WO. Okay, so now I come to the FeO region. I don't know if you expected this, but what is FeO region? Okay, I have the 2 chromosomes here, the sex chromosomes. Okay, so on the right is the male, on the left is the female, as you all know. So the female has this extra region. Okay, so basically everything that a male is contained in the female, but not the other way around. Okay, so female woman. So from that comes, and I would like to call this, and you may have heard this for the first time here, I'd like to call this the FeO region. Okay, so coming back to tungsten and iron. Tungsten has the highest melting point, lowest vapor pressure, highest tensile strength, and it is the main component of meteorites or shooting stars. And as far as iron is, I'm sorry, this is iron. So tungsten is also the heaviest element known to be biologically functional. It's present in some of the enzymes in bacteria, not in eukaryotic cells. Iron is the main component of shooting stars, and you can't make steel without iron. And around 70% of iron in the human body is in hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, and is formed by a fusion of stars, and is essential for plants and is in chlorophyll, and required for food production. And all the things that may relate to women, I have highlighted from these 2 compounds. So this is the reason why I chose this tungsten and iron. So maybe the FeO region is not a coincidence after all. And this year's motto is break the bias. And the sign that is shown here by these 2 women is what is a popular sign for the International Women's Day this year. So here's 2 strong women. Maybe know them, maybe be them, maybe raise them. So with this, I'll stop at that and transition to what the other thing that I was asked to do. So that is to talk about career paths for people in science. So this is a general topic, not just for women, but also for everyone else. What are the different career paths that are available to people in science? One, of course, is the academia. You can be a scientist, but there are also other avenues. For example, you can go to research office where you can do grants management or run ethics and integrity if you have the right kind of background. You can also be working in intellectual property or tech transfer offices. These are available in different places. Second is, of course, the industry where you can have research and development. Either you can do basic R&D, which is not that common in India. You can do a developmental R&D, downstream processing, formulation. All these are different departments of R&D. You can also be a research analyst and be a business development person, where you can actually do the market analysis for the company. You can get involved in scientific writing, review, and documentation at the quality assurance level. You can also be involved in intellectual property and patenting, which is actually one of the strong departments in many of the industries. You can also get into regulatory agencies, for example, biosafety, genetic engineering. You may also be able to get into divisions, departments that deal with biodiversity. Also, occupational health and safety, including pollution control, testing and release of drugs and biologicals, including vaccine testing facility. Or you can also get into science communication. This is actually an attractive thing, especially for women. There are a lot of journals that actually write, people who write editorial or manage these small news views, clippings, and all that. So a lot of those people are also scientists. Some of them, many of them even have PhDs. You can also do a journalism. This is easier said than done, because people say if you have to write something in the newspaper, you have to get down to the level of 6th or 8th standard children. Okay, so getting to that level, writing science to that level is not easy. You can be a teacher at various levels, starting from very small children all the way to at university. You can also try looking at law firms, where you can either freelance as a consultant or go into firms. You can follow either intellectual property, copyright, or trademark laws, environmental laws, or even forensics. So these are also possibilities, but you may have to have some basic degree. Others are government policies, where you can take part in formulating policy guidelines for the government. And also, there are some things that you can do off the beaten path. For example, if you really know the science and you're good in arts, you can be a graphic artist for drawing pathway mechanisms and all these things for us scientists. You can work in forensic labs, or you can even write literature, fiction. How many of you have heard about Isaac Asimov? How many of you have read? What do you know about him? Do you know he's a biochemist, scientist? He has written very prolifically. I don't know how many books he has written, probably hundreds of books he has written. And he has also written, scientists' lives, biographies, and things like that. And he was a PhD scientist. He was a known scientist. So you can also write fiction. So these are some of the options that you can have, but you have to have proper guidance. And I'm not sure if I'm the right person to guide you in a particular field, because we all have our tendencies to do something. I'll give you a couple of examples before I wind up. This guy, I was unable to get a good photograph. His name is Roman Tomasin. Okay, he was doing PhD when I was in the postdoc. Guy was a really brainy chap. He did a PhD from 94 to 99 from Oregon Health Science University in the department. He authored, I was a co-author on the paper in Nature Medicine, where he was a first author. He's now working as a sound engineer, sound designer, engineer, and an audio specialist. Immediately after his PhD, he quit science. And if you have seen these Hulk and all these things that you actually do with your video games, he was one of the persons who did the audio engineering for these video games. He has done audio engineering for movies, cartoon shows, including Simpsons. I'm just giving you some off the beaten path examples. Okay, one more example I'll give you. This is Sylvia Dar. I was initiated into molecular biology by this lady when I was doing my PhD in the US. So we took a 5-week crash course in molecular biology where we were working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening, simply practical molecular biology. Just, PCR, cloning, ligation, sequencing, everything. She did her PhD, completed in 1986 from Michigan State University, postdoc at NIH. She was an assistant professor in University of Nebraska when she was teaching it. She had her own NIH grant working on tRNA biosynthesis. Then at the end of the course, the next year when she was about to teach the course, she had gone. And we were, she wonderful teaching. So we all went and asked what happened. She said, somebody, the head of the department said she left. But for what? Architecture. Why? She had a simple reason. She said, I don't know, fixing ATGC is going to help humankind. Let me do something closer to human beings than what I'm doing in the lab. So she went ahead and did architecture. And since then, for the last 16 years, she's an architect. So I think with that, I will stop. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was a truly excellent talk. And I should confess, I had no idea what I was going to speak, and I just made up that info based on the title. Glad to be right. But I really did not think up to the level of ego. That was a very unique talk. Thank you, sir. And now we have Nilanjana to take us through further.
A very good afternoon, everyone assembled here today. Now we have to move on our next program. Before that, on this special occasion, I can't stop myself from mentioning a quote said once by Oprah Winfrey. Think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fall. Failure is another stepping stones of greatness. Okay. Now our next program is about the art of exerting out one's thought. It is the skill that have make out great leader out of very common people. Yes, I am talking about the skill of oration. Here on this occasion, today we have an oratory competition. We have 3 topics. Out of this participants, we'll talk only one. These 3 topics are: success never comes being in the comfort zone, the woman who inspires me, and being a woman in this competitive world. We invite the first participant on this stage, Ms. Maitri Shah. We're going to talk about success never comes being in the comfort zone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm born and brought up in a Jain family in Ahmedabad, and we follow certain dietary restrictions. And where I come from, it's not frowned upon. Growing up, I was always surrounded by family, friends, and cousins. Naturally, when I got a position here in Hyderabad, a lot of questions were raised. You have a perfectly fine job. Why do you want to go? Can't you find something here, near the house? Why don't you get married instead? They asked. Thankfully, my parents chose to turn a blind eye and encouraged me to go. 6 months haven't exactly been a cakewalk here, I must say. But the learning, exposure, and experience make it all worth it. A lot of girls do not have the same opportunities and support that I have got from my family. In India, 40% of girls do not make it to high school. 10% of those who receive higher education leave their jobs to take care of the families and are not allowed to work. The solution to this lies in educating and empowering the girl child and spreading awareness among all. Earlier, it was believed that women were not supposed to be out, and they are supposed to be domesticated, taking care of the family. However, in the past few decades, things have changed, and now we can see women exceeding in all sorts of areas, showing off their tremendous potential. The saying that women run the world is coming true as every year passes. At present, there is no space where women aren't working and excelling at what they are doing. I conclude my words saying that our own unique perspective and life experiences are the foundation for equality. So don't try to fit into anyone's shoes. We have all got it in us to fulfill our own potential and whatever that may be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Niti. It's such a nice talk you are giving. The next participant is Vishwa Prakashman. She will talk about being a woman in this competitive world.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. As I stand before you on an occasion so special and worthy of celebration, I feel immense happiness that we all are making progress and women are getting the respect they deserve. A woman is said to be the beautiful creation of God. It is a fact that all great personalities have been born from a woman and they have received the initial teaching from a woman. Earlier, women were told that they were not supposed to come out of their home and they were supposed to do the household chores. But this situation has changed in the past few decades. Now, today, women of all ages are ready to dare to challenge all the odds and orthodox mindset of the people around the world. And that is my topic, being a woman in this competitive society. With an increasing number of well-known organizations such as IEM, Gap Inc., General Motors, etc., having female CEO, the trend of women progressing towards leading position all over the world is increasing. In fact, the number of women running Fortune 500 business is at a very high point ever in the history. A study published by a global consulting firm, Hay Group, in 2016 found that 11 out of the 12 emotional competitive skills are high in women. Women outperform men in 11 out of the 12 competitive skills like conflict management, teamwork, self-awareness, etc., which are the skills essential for a person to establish themselves in this competitive world. Take an instance of Falguni Nair, the founder and CEO of the beauty startup Nykaa. She is India's wealthiest self-made Indian women billionaire, one among the 20 richest people in India. She has left her job from Kotak Mahindra at the age of 50 and started a business, Nykaa, a beauty industry. She left her 20-year of working careers to start a beauty industry which was lagging behind rest of the world. But she took up the challenge and shown us that she could become a billionaire. And other examples such as Indira Nooyi, the former chairperson and CEO of PepsiCo, is now serving as at the board of Amazon. Other than that, other examples like Sonia Singh, CEO of Gap Inc., a multinational company, all make us a possibility that we women can do many things in this world. Indian women are establishing their identity in various fields globally by heading big industries, from beauty industries to technology and many other fields. Women have break the glass ceiling of a male-dominated society and have made a revolution that we women make the world more inclusive and accessible to other women. And also, they have redefined the gender stereotype and work culture, and thereby inspiring many other women to take up such roles. The campaign theme of International Women's Day 2022 is Break the Bias. Unconscious or deliberate, we know that bias do exist and prevent the woman from moving ahead. But understanding that bias exists isn't enough. Action is needed to level the playing field. So I conclude my words saying that the time has passed where we have to stand on a line and wait for permission. Seize the day, take the lead, no matter where and what we are. Thank you.
Very informative way you have delivered your job. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Riya Sharma, who will be talking about the women who inspire me. It is rightly said in an ancient Sanskrit saying, Yatra Naryastu Pujyante Ramante Tatra Devta, which means where women are worshipped and respected, God lives there. A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here, and a very happy International Women's Day to all the lovely and budding women scientists who have gathered here today to celebrate womanhood. I am Riya Sharma, currently a dissertation trainee at Dr. Sonu Gandhi's lab. My topic for today is the woman who inspires me. I would like to take this liberty to dedicate my speech to not just one woman, but a series of beautiful women who have made me and shaped my life the way it is. Firstly, I would like to start the list with my grandmother. She is a great conversation starter. She has a wonderful persona, and like in the difficult most times I've seen her, she's so calm and composed. So that's the quality which I like about her. Secondly, the woman who inspires me is my mother. She's also my best friend, and especially now that I have been living here since past 2 months for the first time away from home and doing all the multitasking, like juggling between hostel life and research. So that's my mother's teaching which are helping me here. And finally, I would like to mention our women scientists, our director ma'am, Dr. Taru, Dr. Madhuri, and my PI, Dr. Sonu Gandhi. I don't know, ma'am, if you remember, like for the first time when I sent you a cold mail applying for dissertation, I was so much surprised, like within 15 minutes of applying, you replied to me. And so her time management skills are truly commendable, and I definitely want to learn that from her. So at the end, I would like to say that since time immemorial, women have proved their mettle. For example, if you see the case of 2nd century, there was this Queen Nayanika who was not only a like military commander, but she also ruled the entire kingdom of South Central India. Then we all know the concept of Swayamvar, where in ancient times women had this liberty to choose the man who they wanted to get married to. Even in the practice of Homa, like you all must be knowing, in Hindu rituals, we always say Swaha. It's never Agni. Swaha is actually, this is an interesting fact, that it is the name of wife of Lord Agni. So that's at the end, I would like to stop my words by quoting a famous dialogue from the Big Bang Theory, that show I love. And the actress, she owns a PhD in neuroscience in real life. So she is also very much inspiring to me. She says, to all the young girls out there who dream about science as a profession, go for it. It is the greatest job in the world. And if anybody tells you you can't, don't listen. Just go for it. Thank you.
Very nice way you are doing your research. Now I'm going to ask Vaishali to talk about success never comes being in the comfort zone.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vaishali Yadav, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, a great quote by William Faulkner: "You cannot swim to new horizons until you have got the courage to lose the sight of the shore." Indeed, you need to go beyond your limits, beyond your comfort zone, if you want to achieve great things in your life. You won't get anywhere by doing what you are used to. You need to go beyond what you think you can do in order to see your full potential. Nobody has ever did something great by wishing for it, or just by staying in his or her comfort zone. Achieving your goals is not an easy task. It requires perseverance and a sense of fear. The journey towards your success requires perseverance and sense of fearlessness. The problem is that as we are human beings, we are tired. We are naturally wired up to seek comfort. Many of us avoiding the sensation of fear, escaping from getting uncomfortable, and prefer instead a feeling of peaceful solace. We are, after all, creatures of our dream, and a yearning for safe environment is ingrained in our DNA. We seek comfort, including within our own mind, a behavioral space encompassing familiarity, safety, and security. So Carol Dweck studies human motivation, and Dweck writes there are two mindsets. First one is the fixed mindset. So if you have certain amount of intelligence, certain personality, and certain moral characteristics, so you'd better prove you have a healthy dose of them. It wouldn't do to look simply or feel deficient in these basic characteristics. For example, some situations, will I be succeed or fail? Will I look smart or dumb? There's another mindset, which is called growth mindset. So growth mindset in which these traits are not in your hand. You have always to live your life with always trying to convince yourself. So this growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are the things you can cultivate through your efforts. What is preventing you from getting outside of your comfort zone? So the answer is the feeling of inexperience, stress, anxiety, and failures. We are scared. We're scared of failures. But if you listen to those fears, you will never be realized what lies ahead of you. Just like a great poet by J.M. Barrie, we are all failures, at least the best of us are. The days you are the most uncomfortable are the days you learn more about yourself. So you have got to just give you a little push. You have got to take the first steps. So just take it and watch your life explode into greatness. Watch you develop into person you have always wanted to become. It's all waiting outside of your comfort zone. Thank you so much for everyone. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you, Rosemary. That's such a very motivational talk you have given. Now I'm asking Karan Mohan. He is going to say about the woman who inspires me.
Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Karan Mohan. I feel so blessed to talk about the topic, the woman who inspired me. I really wanted to tell the two incidents that happened in my life, the ones who inspired me a lot. So let me get back to my 12th standard. There was a girl whose mom was very sick and she couldn't able to attend the classes at that time. There was no mobile or any communication thing. So we thought like she's not coming. Our board exams reached. So still she couldn't able to come. Then one day she came and our school administration asked her not to write the board exam. So in the middle of exam, if you didn't come to the school, you didn't write exam, the overall school percentage, pass percentage will get reduced. So she was stuck. There was no one to help at that moment. Later, her class teachers came up and asked her to the administration for the permission to write her the exam. Not only her +2 teachers, the one who taught her the mathematics in 9th standard and 10th standard, she came up for her and stand against the administration, and she got her the permission to write the board exams. So these teachers helped her to write up an exam. Let me get into my another story and we'll go to the conclusion. In a small village, there was a girl who lost her mother at the age of 8. She struggled a very hard for the food and shelter. Later, she got married at the age of 18 with a lot of dreams. But her dreams doesn't come true. She gone through a lot of problems. She didn't had kids for many years. She gone through a lot of blames and troubles, everything. Later, she started taking care of her nieces and nephews, including her stepdaughters. Then she became the mother for all 7 of those kids. So she really took care of them very nicely, better than their own biological mother. I got a chance to ask her 2 questions. That it's been now you're 65 age. Still, till now you didn't get a chance to live for yourself. How you are living, how you are feeling about it. And she said for it, I'm living for myself only. I'm not living for others. I'm seeing you 7 people happily. Your happiness makes me happy. This is it. I'm living for myself. The second question was, I asked her, you might have gone through a lot of problems and the pressure of the society over you. How you have gone through, how you made it up. She said it, the society will tell you many things, whether you are alive, whether you are dead, whether you are present, whether you are absent, it doesn't matter to them. It will keep on telling something or other thing. You should not listen to them. You need to focus on what you really like, what you really wanted to do in her life. So she said it, and while seeing her life, she really meant it. She lived it in such a way. Now she is at the age of 65, still she is living happily with that 7 kids. So these 2 stories, those teachers, they didn't gain anything out of helping that kid, but they did it. This mother, she didn't gain anything out of taking care of those 7 kids, but still she did it. Because of those teachers and that kid, that mother, the girl might be somewhere So standing over here and telling this story, if those teachers were not there, that girl might have been a +2 dropout. If that mother was not there, should have been in a home doing some household work. So these two women, many women inspired me in my life. At the last of conclusion, I wanted to tell you, say the answer to this question is God is there or not. I would like to say yes, he or she is around you, and sometimes you also becomes God to some other people's if you are being with them or helping to others when they really need it without any self-benefit. Thank you all. Happy Women's Day.
We have shared some stories. Yeah, for that we have conveyed your message. Anyways, our next participant is Dipali Rawat. She will talk about the woman who inspired me.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dipali, and I'll be talking on the topic the woman who inspired me. So, starting from the childhood, there are always certain people whom I look up to and think that okay, when I'll be young or when I'll grow up, I'll become like this. So there are different facets of my life which I learned from different people. Be it when I was a girl of 5 or 4, when I admired and I inspired to be like Sushmita Sen. I actually admired her beauty, of course, and her values. So from that time onwards, the people who actually inspired me and motivated me keeps on changing, because you cannot have a single person who inspired you throughout your life in different facets of your life. So from that day onwards, be it my Sanskrit teacher or APJ Abdul Kalam, they all inspired me in any particular aspect of life. So for today, I'll be focusing on just one person, the one woman who actually inspired me, and she is none other than my lab senior, Miss Shireen Kaul. She is right now not here, but she's connected online. So yeah, she inspired me, and it all started when I joined NIB 1.5 years back. I met her for the first time, and I actually resonated with her because we have so many things in common. Be it habits, be it the way we talk, be it she also lived in Delhi, so I also have something Delhiite thing in me, and so I was able to actually resonate with her. And the things which I actually learned from her are not just one thing. It's the first and foremost thing which I actually learned from her is how to balance your personal and professional life. This is one thing which is very crucial at this point of time. For me, being a PhD student, being in research, this quality learning this quality from a person whom you are looking up to is very important. I mean, she is the person with whom I can manage anything. She's the one with whom I can plan an experiment, and by the evening we'll be going out somewhere having dinner or party. So she is the one go-to person. You can go, I mean, you can be it professional, personal, or social. She is a marvelous person for me in that aspect. So this is the one aspect which I learned from her. Second is the reliability or the responsibility, the sense of responsibility, accountability. So she's the one out of all. There are definitely everyone has some sense of responsibility in lab, but she's the one on which we can or anyone can count up to. So I always I always aspire to be like her. That okay, at my third year or maybe now, I can imbibe that qualities. Okay, that if sir said anything to me, then I have to be accountable and responsible for that thing. So yeah, this is the second most thing which I am trying to imbibe from her. And third is I think yes, it's sometimes it's the person who is your motivator, or the person who is inspiring you cannot be the person right next to you. But I think I got this golden opportunity to learn in real time with her. So just sitting next to her and just observing that person, and just observing her reactions, her actions, how she's talking to vendors, and how is she managing the stuffs around, how is she talking to sir, and how is she managing all the lab work, be it any patent filing, any manuscript writing, how to make a presentation very well. So just a person who can, just by being himself,
you can just observe that person and learn things from that. I think that is a very important thing for me to a person be a motivator. Even if I'm not trying to learn something from her, I can just simply sit and observe her, and that way I can just keep on imbibing things from her. So this is my, I mean, right now it is the time and she'll be leaving soon, the institute, she'll be leaving institute soon. So I think right now I've speed up my process of learning more and more from her. But yeah, at the end, there are many more good qualities from her, and I know that we all know her very well from past 3 years. So yeah, I'll thank my inspirator, Ms. Shireen Kaur.
Thank you, Deepali. It's possible that you are very attractive to see him. I invite Ankita as the next participant. Ankita will talk about success data cards being the comfort zone.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ankita Das. A very happy Women's Day to all the women around the world, not only the scientists, entrepreneurs, all the women out of the world. So my today's topic is to like success doesn't come from being in the comfort zone. Success doesn't happen overnight. Like if we want to achieve something great, you have to go beyond all your expectations, all your comfort zone to see the full potential. One won't go anywhere neither by dreaming or staring or not doing, just dreaming something like this. And you shouldn't resist yourself what you are actually used to do. Success lies beyond what we are comfortable in. We all should stretch ourselves in such a way in our liabilities and in such a way that we have never imagined of. There is one quote that the great things never come from being in the comfort zone. On the Women's Day, I would like to thank my families, my friends, my mentors, and all my colleagues for pushing me, scolding me, inspiring me all day long. Because I'm a kind of person who loves to be in my own world. I, at a point of time, I didn't want to come out of from my shell. So thank you so much for helping me out all day long. On the Women's Day, I would like to share a great personality. Like I think everyone had heard of Kiran Majumdar Rao. She is the owner and the founder of Biocon company. Her father was he was working in a beer industry. He was a famous beer industry in India. So she was supposed to do the same thing, and she went to Australia and then came back after getting some training, and then she wanted to join this industry. It was being told to her that you are a woman, you can't do this kind of job. She didn't quit. So she started her career in a small garage and with a 10,000 of the money. Now she is the founder of the Biocon company. So we shouldn't be afraid of the changes. Instead of we should be excited for the great possibilities. At the end of the day, we all should remember one thing, that life begins at the end of the comfort zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita. Our last participant of today's part of the competition is Aravina.
Good afternoon all. I am Aratna Mohanty, working as a PhD student under Dr. HBD Prasad Rao. So on this occasion of Women's Day, I would like to talk something about on the topic, a woman who inspires me. So to begin with, the first lady of my life who has inspired me from the very beginning of my life is my mother. I will not say she is perfect, but still she is the best. Not only she, all the mother around the world teach us, you don't need to be perfect to be best. Just be yourself. She also teach me like to deal every situation of life with a beautiful smile. So I got this beautiful smile from her. Then comes all my sisters and sister-in-laws in my home. Like I have 8 cousin sisters in my home, and all of them are working ladies. So they managed very nicely their work, their families, their children. It's not like that they never fail or they never get frustrated, but still they go on. So from them I have learned like how to balance my life. So not only my mother and my sisters, it's all the women whom I have come across in my life till now, be it my teachers or our director ma'am or our all the women scientists or all the working ladies here and my friends and colleagues has inspired me in a different ways. So I felt to take a single name whom I can call my inspiration. So I can say for me, it is the woman with E instead of A who is the inspiration for me. So finally, whoever I am today is better than who I was. So I am standing here achieving my goals, and at the same time, I am also trying to fulfill all my responsibilities. So for this, I can say I myself is an inspiration for me. So finally, I would like to conclude. Like I will say, just don't give up trying to do something. If you really want to do something, where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can never go wrong. So with this, I would like to conclude and wish you all a happy Very Women's Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you all for constantly encouraging our participants. Here we bring the curtain down onto this already competition session. Now we move on the next event of today's event.
We would now like to invite Ms. Manisha Devnath and Ms. Srimod Nair to deliver a song. So the song is going to be Ori Chiriya, composed by Ram Sampath and written by Swanam Kirkire, which is basically an apology for all the injustices faced by women across the years.
गोरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। गोरी चिड़ैया नन्ही सी चिड़िया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। अंधियारा है घना और लहू से सना, किरणों के तिनके अंबर से चुनके अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। हमने तुझ पे हजारों सितम है किए, हमने तुझ पे जहां भर के जुल्म किए। हमने सोचा नहीं तू जो उड़ जाएगी, ये जमीन तेरे बिन सूनी रह जाएगी। किसके दम पे सजेगा मेरा अंगना। ओरी चिड़ैया मेरी चिड़ैया अंगना में फिर आ जा रे। ओरी चिड़ैया। थैंक यू।
Thank you, guys. That was a very nice rendition. And we also had Mr. Deepak with Simo and Manisha. We have a video compiled by Amit and Niranjana about the Woman of the Year.
Every day is a great day to celebrate the amazing women in your life. But International Women's Day gives you an extra reason to celebrate. Today I am going to share some women's stories and struggles who all are serving our institute to make easy our day-to-day life at India. नमस्ते सबको, मेरा नाम सुनीता है। मैं आगे बढ़ने का मेरा मामा से सीखा है। खास करके तो बच्चे लोगों को बहुत पढ़ाया, मामा ने आगे आया है, वो देख के मैं आगे चलना सीखी। मुझे लगता था घर से ड्यूटी से आंखों में आंखें की लेट होता था, फिर भी मैं मेरे हस्बैंड ने गाड़ी ली। गाड़ी लेने से मैं थोड़ा एक दो दिन थोड़ा डर लगा था रोड में, फिर भी मैं भगवान से याद करके हिम्मत करके आगे चला यूं। होता हिम्मत डरे तो नहीं करना, आगे बढ़ना चाहिए, वो एक याद रख के आगे बढ़े। जैसा अभी स्कूटी से आने से भी थोड़ा मुझको आत्मविश्वास हुआ है। इधर भी करके फिर जाऊंगी, उधर भी हो जाता है, थकान लगता है, सबको लगता है, वो भी करना चाहिए। काम करती हूँ, दिल से करती हूँ, सच्चाई से काम करती हूँ, मेरा वही अच्छा लगता है मुझे। ఇలా పరిచయాలను నేర్చుకున్నాను. నేనేంట్లో పని కాబట్టి మా పిల్లలను నేను మంచి పోషిస్తున్నాను. కానీ చూసి ఇక్కడ తీసుకొచ్చారు మేడం వారు. ఇక్కడైతే మంచిగా ఉన్నాను, మా పిల్లలు నేను చాలా వాళ్ళకి ఇక్కడ పని చేసి వాళ్ళకి మంచిగా తీసుకుంటున్నాను. కష్టం అంటే ఏంటో నాకు అర్థమైంది. నేరుగా కూర్చున్నప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ఎలా వస్తారో నాకు తెలియదు. ఏదైనా పని చేయాలంటే పని చేస్తున్నాను. ఇప్పటికైతే బాగానే ఉన్నాను. నాకు ఇక్కడ పని చేస్తున్నందుకు చాలా నమస్తే అందరికీ. నా పేరు నాగమణి. నా ఫ్రెండ్ వాణి అనేది వ్యవసాయం అనేది తను చాలా కష్టపడేది. నువ్వు ఎందుకు ఇంత కష్టపడుతున్నావు, హస్బెండ్ ఉన్నాడు కదా అని అడిగాను. అడిగితే తను అన్నది, హస్బెండ్ ఉంటే ఏం లాభము, తాగి తిరిగి వాటి చూస్తే మళ్ళీ పిల్లల్ని చూసుకోలేదు కదా, అందుకే నేను కష్టపడుతున్నాను అని తను చెప్పింది. అప్పుడు నాకు అనిపించింది, నేను కూడా చేయాలి, నాకు కూడా ఇలాగే ఉన్నారు కదా మా హస్బెండ్ కూడా అనేసి అనిపించింది. అప్పుడు నేను అలా చేశాను. అప్పటి నుంచి నాకు అలాగే స్టార్ట్ అయింది. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ మరి హస్బెండ్ చనిపోయాడు. మళ్ళీ చనిపోయాక నా పిల్లల్ని నేను పోషించుకోవాలి కదా, నా పిల్లలకు సపోర్ట్ కావాలి కదా, నాకేమన్నా అయిపోతే నా పిల్లల సపోర్టింగ్ ఎవరు చూస్తారు, ఎవరు చూడరు కదా. అంతే ధైర్యంగా నేను ముందుకు వచ్చి నేను ఈ పని చేస్తున్నాను. నాకు చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంది. ఇక్కడ నాకు సార్ వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్, ఇంట్లో మా అమ్మ సపోర్టింగ్, నాన్న సపోర్టింగ్ ఉండేది. నాన్న ఈ మధ్య చనిపోయాడు, ఆ సపోర్టింగ్ కూడా పోయింది నాకు. ఇప్పుడు నేనే కష్టపడాలి, నేనే చూసుకోవాలి, నా పిల్లల చదువులని నేనే చూడాలి కదా, దానికోసమని నేను కష్టపడుతున్నాను. ఇక్కడ పని చేస్తాను, పొద్దుంతా హ్యాపీగా పని చేస్తాను, సాయంత్రం ఇంటికి వెళ్ళాక కాళ్ళు నొప్పి, చేయి నొప్పి అలాంటివన్నీ వస్తూ ఉంటాయి. అన్ని వస్తే తెల్లవారంగానే మళ్ళీ అన్ని మర్చిపోతాను. అన్ని మర్చిపోయి మళ్ళీ డ్యూటీకి వస్తాను. నాకు తప్పదు కదా, నేను డ్యూటీ చేయాలి కదా, దానికోసమని నేను మళ్ళీ డ్యూటీకి రావాలి కదా. పొద్దున్నే తలనొప్పి వచ్చినా, చెవి నొప్పి వచ్చినా, కాళ్ళు నొప్పి వచ్చినా, అన్ని వచ్చినాయి. నేను ఇంట్లో కూర్చోలేను కదా, ఇంట్లో కూర్చుంటే నాకు ఎవరు పెడతారు, నాకు ఎవరు పెట్టలేదు. దానికోసమని నేను డ్యూటీ చేస్తున్నాను. నా డ్యూటీ ఇక్కడ బాగానే ఉంది. నాకు సార్ వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్, మేడం వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్ ఫుల్ ఉంది. నాకు ఎవరు ఏ కష్టం వచ్చినా అడుగుతారు, అన్ని తెలుసుకుంటారు. ఓకే, నమస్తే. Like this has been the other way. We should have for making our daily working environment vibrant and joyful. Thank you.
That was a very moving and inspiring video. As the video proves, every woman is an inspiration. We now have a video compiled by Varad, which will list and chronicle the exploits of the students and fellows, the women of NIA. Thank you. So those are pictures and paintings by all the girls of NIB compared by Mr. Now we have a talk by Dr. Chandrima Tara and ma'am will give an introduction.
Put this on website. It's a very good set of pictures.
Now we is Chair Professor of National Academy of Sciences at the Indian Institute of Chemical Biology, Kolkata. She is former director and former professor of eminence at the National Institute of Immunology and was the vice president of the Indian National Science Academy. She is an elected fellow of the World Academy of Sciences, Indian National Science Academy, Indian Academy of Sciences, National Academy of Sciences, and the West Bengal Academy of Science and Technology. During her career, she was a member of the steering committee of the Task Force on Regulation of Male Fertility of the World Health Organization and International Consortium on Male Contraception. She was the chair of the DBT Task Force based on Biotechnology Program for Women. Along with this, she was a member of many task forces as well as member of Scientific Advisory Committee of many institutes across the India. She has many accolades. To name a few, she was awarded with J.C. Bose National Fellowship from DBT of Science and Technology, Sunday Standard Devi Award for Excellence in the Field of Science, Shanti Saru Bhatnagar Medal from INSA, Biopharma Award, and recently she received Lifetime Achievement Award. Dr. Saha's research program is motivated towards the understanding of cell death pathways and cellular defense processes in unicellular and multicellular organisms that have important bearing on designing of therapies for various diseases. With this, I would like to invite her to enlighten us with her exceptional thoughts about the science.
I think there are few more minutes left, Chandramati.
Yeah,
So
yes, I can see that it's about
we
5
can
minutes.
wait for
Yes.
2-3 minutes. 4 o'clock you said, na, Nilanjana? So maybe 2-3 minutes we can wait.
Yes. Is this going online? I mean, this meeting
Because
is.
people will be streaming on YouTube.
Oh, it's in
Madam,
hybrid mode.
Is there? Madam can.
Good afternoon, Chandrima Madam. This is in hybrid mode.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Most welcome, and we are all looking forward to hearing you, ma'am.
I can see the auditorium. Very little.
We are following social distancing. You can just
Yes.
move a camera a little bit.
Yeah. So how did your function go today?
Oh, it went very fine, ma'am. We all started. We have had one motivational talk by Professor Lalita from University of Hyderabad, and our own students they performed a couple of somebody sang a song, and we have a list we program. Our own scientific colleague Dr. Hegde gave a wonderful talk. He was very much influenced by the periodic table element, and it was really a fantastic talk. We all enjoyed, and after that, 4 o'clock we were all waiting, and now we are here with you. So over to you, madam.
Yeah.
How was your talk at Nasi, ma'am?
Very good. Very good. Very good. They had a very good program today.
Yeah.
So I couldn't attend to the end, but it's good. You offered me to come and give it, but unfortunately, I'm about to start going out now.
So we will make another plan.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, ma'am, you want to share some? Are you going to?
Yeah, I can share my slides now. Yes, I can. I just, I'm here. I'll have to go. I don't know. It's not moving. The slide has to move, right?
Madam,
I'm just.
Madam, please wait, madam. Madam, please unshare and then again reshare, madam.
I don't know why it's not. It's all hung. Let me log out and then come back again because it's got hung. Now it's come. Now it's come. Zoom. Something happened to Zoom. So now, now you can see my first slide.
Yes. Please keep in slideshow mode, madam.
Yeah. So you've got.
Yes, madam.
Now you can see, right?
Yes, madam. It is visible. I can see. We can see.
Should I start?
Yes, madam. Start, madam.
Okay. So Dr. Taru Sharma, Dr. Subir Majumdar, I can't see who all are there, but all the distinguished scientists and above all, dear students and faculty of NIAB. First of all, today I would like to wish all women a very wishes for a very strong future on the occasion of the International Women's Day. And I would start by saying that science gives us a very unique identity. It is independent of gender or nationality. Now, despite the fact that we have come a long way in creating a more equal world, both men and women are enjoying it, but there is still issues with society where how society looks at values and how they award the achievements. So we need to work on this more to sort of get to a perfect situation of the equal world. That would be a grand day to have. Now, I thought that we should actually celebrate the women scientists and the leaders today. And if we, before going into that, I thought I should say a few words what the giants of science said. One is that science is a way of thinking, was said by the famous astrophysicist Carl Sagan, who was also a scientist who did a lot of popular science activities, and a lot of his writings are there. One can read about it. And so it is not only a way of thinking. For us, science is kind of a way of life now, because we are surrounded by the discoveries of science. As we go along, you can imagine that if we did not have the discoveries of science applied to our lives, what it would be like. Now, this man, all of you know this man, he said the important thing is to do in science is to never stop questioning. So the most important component of science is questioning. And this is what he said. So now, when we look at the billions of years of evolution that is taking place, the formation of the earth, the prebiotic chemistry that happened, and life originated from inorganic molecules that were in a special soup somewhere. And the pre-RNA world came, then the RNA world came, and first DNA world came with life. And then diversification of life took place, and we can see the biodiversity all around us. What a magnificent demonstration of life. But all this, how did we understand all this? We did this because we did science, we did investigations, and we looked at our history in the past. So science is a way of life for us. Now, coming to International Women's Day, the United Nations started celebrations on 8th of March during the 1975. This was actually originally conceived in 1911 when the Copenhagen Initiative marked it as the International Women's Day. You may or may not know that in several countries like Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, there were no voting rights for women for long. But so there were rallies and, lot of movement to avoid discriminations. After that, several international events followed, and from 1975 onwards, the International Women's Day was followed regularly. And now we as scientists celebrate this as International Women's Day for scientists. With decades of global conversation on the acute need to escalate women's representation in sciences, why are we still facing such an issue? We hear that why there is a lesser representation of women in science. So we must have gone wrong somewhere in our policies, because after, say, 2 or 2.5 decades of conversation, we are still having lesser women as scientist workforce. So somewhere we may have gone wrong. We need to analyze more, and we need to really statistically analyze what are the figures. And it is not only the statistical interpretations, it's about the sociological interpretations of events. So this is how we should go about looking at the issue of women in science. If you look at this map, which is very strange, because this map shows what is the heaviest, which are the countries which have the heaviest women workforce in science. And if you look at this, you'll see that Central Asia and South America are employing, and the Middle East are employing women the most. This is very strange, because the enlightenment of women, in the sense that they're working along with men, and gender equality is not as it is in other countries, but it's just the reverse. So if you look at the figures, it's about 30% in North America, which is not shown here, but it is about 50% in Central Asia, Mongolia and Tibet and somewhere like that. So no, not Tibet, it's mostly Mongolia. So so it is very strange. So we are not actually discussing properly the sociological issues that comes with participation of women in science. So what are the causes of women's underrepresentation in STEM? Is it gender difference, or is it social inequalities? Gender differences may cause some kind of discrimination, which has been the cause of many of the discriminations. And social inequalities, in the sense, in social layers like the caste, there are underprivileged sections, there are privileged sections. So the social platforms in the social layers that we have this kind of inequalities also lead to underrepresentation of women in STEM. Now, Finland is a country. This is again another example of the contradiction, that Finland is a country which excels in gender equity. And you see, with girls usually outperform boys in science. And ideally then, the Finland should have less of a gender gap in STEM fields. Yet it is the opposite, which is true. Finland has one of the lowest proportions of women earning STEM degrees, along with Norway and Sweden, which also rank in high in gender equality. But the case in Algeria is reverse, where gender equality is not there so much, but the employment of women is more. So what are the reasons and how does it happen? These things we need to really look at. Why we have less women? So we need to look at more critically, and it varies according to culture, countries, social situations. And why it is important to encourage more women to pursue to be in science? Because a nation needs talent, ideas, and creativity of all its people. So participation varies amongst fields, but it is about 30% women that we have, but 50% women are the actual workforce we have. Therefore, one needs to encourage more women to join the science stream. And in this regard, universities, institutions can play a big role, and even teachers in schools. What does diversity do to the scheme of things? Why are we saying that we need diversity? So diverse teams could generate more different ideas and innovative solutions to problems. In the context of COVID-19, we have seen that widespread collaborations actually resulted in saving of many lives. So it is the diversity of things, the difference of thoughts that comes in, and it makes all the difference. So it is important to include diverse groups of people from different countries, from different genders, and have a system where ideas are very different, and it can cohesively give us more output in terms of innovation. So for the future of women in leadership, we must look into the past. The reason is that history is very important because that gives us clues to certain things. So there are some questions that we should ask. One is that, is it true that women always face problems? The women that we look up as role models, are they very different from us? And did they face difficulties? What kind of struggle did they have? And what is exactly what makes them succeed? So I take the most celebrated example as the first example, Marie Curie. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, the only woman in history to ever win it twice, the only human to ever win a Nobel Prize in 2 different sciences, physics and chemistry. She said that I have frequently been questioned, especially by women, of how I could reconcile family life with a scientific career. Well, it has not been easy. That is said by Marie Curie herself. Now, what did Marie Curie do? I mean, first, let us look at the difficulties she faced. She made discoveries that actually changed the world. Russian government prevented college education, university education for women, so she couldn't go to college. She was not allowed to present seminars, only her husband could. Nobel Committee, because she worked with her husband along with others. So Nobel Committee wanted to give Nobel to 2 men and not Mary. And eventually she got it. She was never elected to the French Academy of Sciences. Not offered a professorship till her husband Pierre Curie died. And she won the 2nd Nobel Prize, which came in controversy because of some Langevin affair that was going on and was almost withdrawn. So such kind of difficulties was faced by a woman who coined the term radioactivity, did groundbreaking discoveries regarding uranium rays, discovered the radioactive element polonium, isolated the radioactive element radium, started the use of radium for cancer, paved the way for extensive use of X-rays for medical purposes, and created mobile radiology units during World War I. So you can see the extent of her contributions. And even then, she faced such difficulties. But One message is clear here, that it is the determination and it is the persistence of the woman concerned. She was determined. That determination is very important in anything you do. Closer to home, we have Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy, who's a legendary medical practitioner, social reformer, and legislator from the Pudukottai in erstwhile Madras Presidency. She was the first, she actually, when she went to school, her parents were threatened because she came from the Devadasi community, and the other parents tried to take the sons away from school, saying that the presence of a girl born to a Devadasi family would corrupt their minds. Eventually, with difficulty, she studied medicine and scored 100 in surgery. It would have been very easy for her to give up and not do anything, but she did continue to study and scored 100 in surgery. She fought for increasing the marriageable age and abolition of the Devadasi culture. And she argued with erudite scholars like Raja Gopalachari. And eventually, after 17 years of struggle, the bill became an act and Devadasi culture was stopped. She established the Adyar Cancer Center in 1952. And this hospital was the first in Asia to install a Cobalt-60 unit, this is the hospital, and it is run by an equally competent woman now, Dr. V. Shanta. Christian Medical College, Vellore, a very famous hospital, was established by a woman, Ida Shudder. She came to India in 1899 and made India her home. She was instrumental in setting up the Mary Tabor Shell Hospital in 1902, which eventually became one of the Asia's foremost teaching hospitals, the Christian Medical College and Hospital at Vellore. So you can see how women, if they have determination, what they can do. And 1902, you can imagine things were not very easy then. Another example is Mary Poonen Lucas, who created the formidable healthcare system of Kerala. She was the first Surgeon General, or female Surgeon General in India, and she was the founder of a tuberculosis sanatorium in Nagarcoil, which later grew to become the Kanyakumari Government Medical College. She founded the X-ray and Radium Institute in Trivandrum, and she was the head of health department in the princely state of Travancore and was the first woman legislator of the state. So you see, that was a time when things were not so easy, but she fought and she was able to found several institutes. So this is how determination speaks. And even if you have a system which is going against you, you can overcome the problems and not give up. However, the gender equality in sciences are there all across, as we can see by data. And this includes higher education, career placement, mid-career graphs, promotion to leadership positions. And there are low numbers of scientists in institutions practicing science, institutions teaching science, agencies employing women for administering science grants and general management. But now I think the scenario is very, one can be very optimistic. If you consider the total women force in science, you have to consider women in science administration, women teachers of science subjects, women technicians in science laboratories, women entrepreneurs in science, women researchers in science, women students in science. And what's more, a mother can really influence the child. So that is also a role that women have in science. So when one is considering women force in science, one has to consider all these different professions that people are carrying on and give them similar facilities and benefits that one requires for keeping themselves in the job and performing well. So this is a Niti Aayog data where it shows that slightly older generation is more involved in the scientific workforce, and very few in the age group of 21 to 26. It is possible that at this point of time, people who are doing PhD are moving to somewhere else to do their postdocs, and also a part of the workforce is getting married and setting up families at this time. But here we have about more than 25% involved in at the age of 51 plus, and also here in between 36 and 41. So these are the kind of data that we have. And one very encouraging data is that, I mean, if I speak of the time when I started off and the status of women now, there is a hell and heaven difference between them. But now between 2010 and 2018, 19, you can see there is an increase in number of PhDs. There's an increase in postgraduates. There's an increase in the undergraduates. So higher education makes a vital influence to our sustainable development through the generation and dissemination of knowledge. So in higher education, more and more women are coming in. This is one example. And the other interesting example is medicine. You see, the ratio of men and women in medicine is like 66% here in 2019-20, and 33% of men. And if you go to the elite institutes, you'll see that there is an increase in the number of students, the number of faculty that are coming in. And this is a DST report where it shows that the number of women PIs have increased from 13 to about almost double to 26 or 24. But this needs to be much, much more. What we are seeing here more than that, because there was a fall from 9 to 10. So this keeps on varying depending on the kind of engagement people have. So I think these are very, very encouraging scenarios that this change is working. And what is more important is that I can feel that there is a change in attitude of women, that they are more conscious about what they can get and how they can progress. So that change in attitude is very, very important. If you look at the graduation and post-graduation scenario, you will see that BA in bachelor, this is actually data of female per 100 male students. So these are the different years, and you can see the BA, the Bachelor of Arts, the Master of Arts, Bachelor of Commerce, the Master of Commerce, Bachelor of Science, and Master of Science. Everywhere you can see there are women who are more in number than men. So this report actually shows that more and more women are coming in for studies, which is a very, very encouraging and phenomenon. And eventually, when the base is more, when there are more women around, there will be women going into science more, there will be women going into leadership positions in larger numbers. So what we have observed is that the 44% of science PhDs, actually, as a scientific workforce, it falls, the number falls. So what it means that after PhDs, there is some kind of a loss in numbers. So that one has to really seriously see. And if this is a UNESCO data, where they have shown that in women, there is a career gap. And there is a career gap for men also. And so they have an explainable gap and a gap without explanation. So the men also have a gap which they cannot explain, because from CVs, it is difficult to know what these gaps are and from where it came. So in women, it's high. It's about 47% gap without explanation. But there are gaps where they can explain. So now it is, as I said, that it is impossible to know from a resume that these gaps, what do these gaps mean? What were these people doing at that point of time? And the comparison between men and women show that men also have career gaps. Now, the most common reasons for a career break, this is again a Niti Aayog diagram, where they show that pre-marriage people take about 14% people go away from careers. Before the first child, about 30%. After the first child, 37%, and after second child, 17%. So these are the places where women-friendly practices can actually encourage women to come in. And if at work they have women-friendly facilities, like for example creche, or rudimentary form of school, some kind of play school, then they would have more women would come in and will continue to work. And the men also, along with women, are responsible for nurturing and taking care of the future generation. So all of them will be comfortable, and there will be more women coming into science. And this is why I think most institutions need to be sensitive about the need for having women-friendly facilities. And it is not only in science. You can see the number of voters are increasing. This is an older slide which shows in 2014 how women are increasingly voting. And we have the highest number of pilots in the world. So you see, women are coming out in various fronts. So I'm sure that in science, we will have more and more participation. The National Education Policy by the Ministry of Education and the latest draft of the Department of Science and Technology forthcoming Science, Technology and Innovation Policy both have very clear and precise commitments to gender equity and universal inclusion. Because the quality education and gender equality both are part of the Sustainable Development Goals. So we can be hopeful that these policies would be favoring a very nice balance between men and women, and that is how science will progress. There is another charter by Government of India, which is the Gati Charter. It is based on 10 key principles where an institution will sign a charter and they will give equal opportunity to women, particularly those in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And by being the part of a progressive charter, the institution shall commit to adopting its guiding principles within their policies, practices, action plans, and culture of transformative change. So this is similar to the Athena Swan program of Australia. And we hope that it works here in India so that more women can come into the stream of science. Now, some of the possible recommendations could be that problems of women in different layers of society in joining the science stream should be threadbare analyzed and addressed. It is very important that we analyze and address it, without going blindly into just thought is not the issue. We have to analyze. Schools and universities should take steps for gender sensitization in the field of education. Teachers can do a remarkable job here. Exposure to role models is essential so that young women can identify themselves with the inspiring individual. I encourage usually the students to read biographies of women scientists, or even whoever scientist is, to inspire them in doing science. And counseling should be done for women coming from poorer and underprivileged section of society. Implementation of policies making it easier for women to make a career choice should be done by both central and state governments. Financial support should be given as fellowships. We know that both DBT and DST has many women-friendly schemes, but I think there should be more of such kinds, so that because there are more women now, and women to be involved in leadership positions in science. This is very important. And for that, we may require a mentoring system. The private sector also should attempt to enhance the opportunities for women. And gender inclusive work time benefits are necessary when I was talking about the creche, etc. And gender friendly facilities at all organizations practicing science should be there. So these recommendations are important for taking forward the issue of women in science. But I think there is a need for not only for women to enter science. In general, we are having lesser people getting into the stream of science because it is not lucrative like a business model. But science is a thing that comes from within. When a person wants to go into science, it's for asking the questions, asking, looking at the wonders of the world, the nature, understanding nature. When I started off in school, I was very interested in looking at the sky and thinking that I'm going to be an astronomer, because I had a very rudimentary telescope and I was looking at the sky and thinking that what the stars do, what are they, and how do they move around. I had no idea, but I wanted to be an astronomer. But then the day I saw a little blob of pond water from the microscope, under the microscope, I realized that I wanted to be a biologist. So you see, the system should evolve early from school, and all the women and men both should be interested in science, because we need more and more people in science. Science is going to be there. Any difficulty, any problem we tackle is through science. Look at the pandemic. We could, because we had these basic discoveries in science, we could respond to the pandemic, which hit us like a tsunami. We could respond very quickly because of the science, because of the basic research we have already done, and we had the things ready. And a lot of lives could be saved, although we sadly lost a lot of lives. So important thing I want, my intention is to say that it is not only women, men also needs to be interested in science, more men. So we need more men and women both. So on this day of International Women's Day, I would like to acknowledge and pay tribute to the women Nobel laureates who broke the glass ceiling, and they are where they are. They did wonderful research and they got the highest honor. But there were women who did not get the highest honor but did equally good work, like, to name one, is Rosalind Franklin. So I pay my tributes to them. And this is my final slide. And I think women should support each other. And also women needs the support of the government. And I'm sure, as the days go by, we'll have a better equal world, and where science will progress at a faster rate. Thank you very much. I will stop sharing. Yes, I'm done with. So, so you have any, do you want me to answer questions, or?
Anybody is having any question? No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
Okay.
Well, if we have time, if you like, we can take a couple of questions. Students are there, faculty is also there. I hope you have 5 minutes time, we can take up.
Sure.
Thank you very much. So, open it up. It's open for, if any questions of the madam's presentation, please.
It can be about anything. It can be about anything. Doesn't have to be on the women's issue.
Ma'am, I have a question here. This is Madhuri here. I'm sure you would have also had moments where you have thought, okay, let's put a stop to science and then focus on the family during the early stages. So
sorry, I cannot hear you clearly. Can you? Yeah.
So in a family life, sometimes there are occasions where, as a woman, I have felt that let me put a full stop to the science and then focus on the family. But then something takes us to the other side. So how do we face such situations? How do we make ourselves more self-motivated? not only scientists but also students.
You see, one of the common problems when people face with family is that family has an opinion, and they will try to, convince you about their opinion, and that makes it very difficult for some students. I've seen in IITs and all that. You're studying engineering, that's fine, but that's it. Abhi, you get married and just settle down, and you don't have to do engineering, things like that. But I think it is you have to take an initiative and convince your family that what is good for you, and it is also good for the society, and it is also good for the family, because education in no way harms anyone. So if I understood your question, in that case, you have to motivate yourselves that you can do greater things than what you're doing. That is a self-motivation thing that you have to do. And that's why I keep on telling that read the lives of very inspiring women, and you know that against what odds they stood and they performed. So that is one thing I think one has to do.
Anyone else? Madam, thank you so much for the talk. I just like to have your points that see still some of the higher institutions like IITs, Ministry of Science, CIFR, these institutions have never seen any women leaders in the group. So they have, there is a big pool, scientific pool coming out, women scientists from these institutions. How would you comment at this situation? Though they're doing good, but when this vibrant pool is there, where do they go afterwards? Your comment, I would really like to know.
Yes, you see, it is true that IITs and ICERs and they have less number of directors. Actually, they have right now. There are certain IITs have women directors in the morning. In fact, in the NASI program, someone showed a slide where they have shown that the improvement is there, and in some of the IITs and some of the, I don't recall if ICER was there, that there were women who actually are leaders there. But it is, I think, if there are about 75% of men, the chances are that the men will get elected because of the sheer number. So if 25% of women are there, the chances are less. So that is why we're saying is that since 50% of the workforce are women, then 50% scientists should be there. If there is this increase in number from 30 to 50%, we will see women coming into the leadership positions, because it is the sheer base which is less. Because if you look at the academy fellowships, I have seen that it is very, very low. But if you look at the Young Academy of Sciences fellowships, you see there are 31% of women as opposed to 8 to 9% in the adult academies. So times are changing. And as I mentioned in my talk, that there is a mindset change. And this mindset change would eventually bring women to leadership positions. Maybe because by nature, women are shy, they need a mentorship in the sense, some mentorship to be leaders, that how to make them believe that they could be leaders. So I think, times are changing, and I was surprised to see today that there are a number of IITs who are having women directors and other organizations. Well, IISc, there has been not a single woman director as yet, but it'll come slowly. I mean, INSA didn't have a woman president in 85 years, but it's happening now. So I think things will become better.
And when the NASI and INSA could see first women president at both academies, definitely it will happen. I do agree with you. But at the same time, the concern is, as you correctly say, I partly agree, that since the number is less, so the equality is not there. However, at the same time, the concern remains that the number of professors in this IITs are also very less. The data I took yesterday, it says that IIT Mumbai has just 17.6% professors and IIT Chennai has 10.2% professors. And also data which was released last week, where 75 scientists under 50 years were selected. We were really jubilating, and what personally as a scientist, irrespective of gender, I was happy that so much recognition in STEM which we are getting now with clarity, and maybe pandemic could bring much more clarity, as you correctly said that pandemic we could handle because things were at place across the globe, not only in India. So out of those 75 scientists, the percentage of women scientists was 18.6%. I calculated which was a kind of I was relatively happy because at least this could blow better than IIT number of percentage of IIT professors there. But the happiness, there is always an affirmation to look at the thing. 4 days back, when Professor Vijay Raghavan along with British High Commission has shown the 75 women in STEM, and that names when it came. So that's definitely to see and look at the half plus full situation, and always, the grass would be more greener in STEM, as you also said in one of the slides. I also feel. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, I think we can hope. I mean, things will. I mean, when I came into science, the kind of women were there at that point of time, the kind of numbers was miserably low. But in all these years, this has increased, and I'm very optimistic about that, that as more women are coming in for higher education, and we actually have not looked at the underprivileged communities in rural areas from where women can be helped to come into the mainstream and get into the education system. And that is where I think we are going to make a difference, because we will have to have more women from diverse backgrounds coming in, because one's problem may not be another's problem, and one can give ideas on their problem, and that's how we actually make a progress. So I think this is going to happen, and it's a very optimistic future. With our education policy and science and technology policy, I think this is going to be better. It is very slow. Actually, the societal changes are very slow, because it is partly a societal phenomenon also, that parents put certain restrictions for the girl child and not for the son. And this is a social change that has to occur. And it is a slow change that will come. And I'm sure when the daughters are brought up like sons, there will be better, number of women coming in the profession. As it is, science is not preferred as a position, as a profession very much by people because of the low job opportunities. As that improves, this will also improve. It is like a cycle like that.
You may true, ma'am. More than policy, it is a mindset indeed. It's a mindset which has to be.
It's also mindset which will change, because it is changing. I can feel the change.
Yeah, so do we all. I think it's a time to really thank
welcome
the first women president of INSA, and she is there on chair very much, and the way you could motivate, and the best part was the affirmative way of yes, it's a change is happening, and it will happen slow yet sturdy. But with that note, I personally feel very, very inspired. I am inspired by you, otherwise also, and I think people present in this hall must have felt the same. Thank you very much for taking time out, and we are really privileged to hear this talk of yours, Mother. Thank you so much. Over to Dr. Madhuri.
Thank you so much, ma'am. If you have time, please join us for the next cultural program that we have planned right now for another 20 minutes. If you have time. Can you hear me, ma'am?
I can't hear you. Can you please? I can't hear you.
If you have time, you can join us for the cultural program that we are having on the stage right now for the next 20 minutes.
I have to go into another panel discussion. You know,
Yeah,
today
ma'am.
is like a mad day. I mean, from the morning I've been doing
Okay, ma'am.
this.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
For your
you're
time.
welcome.
Yeah, we
Yes.
enjoyed your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye.
After that really informative presentation talk by Dr. Chandrima Saha, we have a little cultural event by the students and the children of NIV faculty. So to start, we'll have a dance performance by the children of Dr. Jayanti Bole, Samath and Yukta. So we can just give the mic to them to give an intro. Sure.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj ki jai. Hi friends, my name is Yukta and my daily name is Yukta Jayanthole and my school name is Sri Chaitanya Techno School, Sri Nalanda. And happy Women's Day, all of you. I am performing a dance, so you all support me, okay?
Cause you know it ain't the whole way. Love is the message, eh? You ready? Let's go. Together, yeah. When we come together, yeah. All you got is me, and yeah. All I got is you.
स्वयं से करेंगे सबका स्वागत स्वयं से करेंगे सबका स्वागत
Life is a guide, make us stay on our trail. So I help you to get it good. What's your name? You want to get it? You want to get it? Don't be so mistake. You want to get it? Don't be so mistake. You want to get it? Don't be so mistake. You want to get it? Don't be so mistake. Yeah.
That was a very impressive performance from Samarth and Gupta. Now we have a duet song by Syed Faizul's daughters, Zahra and Sahar.
Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. We are going to sing a mashup song which is dedicated to all the lovely women. हो सदते मैं जावा मेरी दिल जाड़िया मैं शीश झुकावा मेरी दिल जाड़िया तेरे नाम जो कर जावा कम है वो तू सारे जहां से प्यारी मेरे भारत की बेटी है सारे जहां पे भारी मेरे भारत की बेटी दिल जान है शान हमारी मेरे भारत की बेटी जीती रहो जीतती रहो के, हर आंसू है अपना जो तेरे होठों पे ठहरे, वो गीत अब अपना जो सीना तान के तू चले, उठता है सर अपना, जी ले अपनी जिंदड़ी, सर पर हाथ है अपना, तेरा जो भी है सपना अब जिम्मा है अपना, सपने सच करने की तेरी बारी, और तू सारे जहां से प्यारी, मेरे भारत की बेटी है, सारे जहां पे भारी, मेरे भारत की बेटी, दिल जान है शान हमारी, मेरे भारत की बेटी, जीती रहो जीतती रहो। जो दिल से लगे उसे कह दो हाय 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 हाय, जो दिल ना लगे उसे कह दो बाय 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 बाय, आने दो दिल में आ जाने दो, कह दो मुस्कुराहट को हाय 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 हाय, जाने दो दिल से चले जाने दो, कह दो घबराहट को बाय 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 बाय। लव यू जिंदगी, लव यू जिंदगी, लव यू जिंदगी, लव मी जिंदगी। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Zara and Sarah. That was a very beautiful song. Now we have a group song by NIB students, Ms. Kalai Rajagopal, Ms. Anita Rogan, Ms. Deepa Lakshmi Govindarajan, and Ms. Hajira Bibi singing a third song titled Sing Up in, which means Lionesses, dedicated to all of you.
Thank you for welcoming us. Just a minute now. Since the song is we are singing in a Tamil, we will display the meaning of translation in English so that it will be helpful for the people. Sorry for the English. Thank you.
சிங்கப்பெண்ணே ஆணிவனே உன்னை வணங்குமே, நன்றி கடன் தீர்ப்பதற்கே கருவிலே உன்னை ஏந்துமே, ஒரு முறை தலைகுனி உயர்த்தி சிங்க முகம் அவன் பார்ப்பதற்கு மட்டுமே, ஏறு 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 நெஞ்சு வலிமை கொண்டு ஏறு, உன்னை பெண் என்று கேலி செய்த கூட்டம் ஒரு நாள் உன்னை வணங்கிட உயர்ந்து நின்று, அன்னை தங்கை மனைவி என்று வீணடித்த வேர்வை உங்கள் பாதைக்குள் மற்றும் அந்த தீயை அழைக்கும், நீ பயமின்றி துணிந்து செல்லு. உன்னாலே முடியாதென்று ஊரே
சொல்லும் நம்பாதே பரிதாபம் காட்டும் இந்த வர்க்கத்தோடு முடியாதே உலகத்தின் வழி எல்லாம் வந்தடைந்த முன்னே பிரசவத்தின் வழியை தாண்ட பிறந்த அக்கினி சிறையே எழுந்து வா உலகை அசைப்போம் உயர்ந்து வா அக்கினி சிறகே எழுந்து வா ஒளி விடும் கண்ணாமை சேர்ப்போமா அது சகதியில் விழாமல் பார்ப்போமா.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we have a video presentation of Karate Show by Meenakshi, daughter of Madhuri. With that, today's event comes to a close. We have the prize distribution ceremony for the oratory competition and for the children also who perform. So, okay, sure. We have the videos compiled by Amit and Niranjana and the ones compiled by Mr. Varat, which basically chronicles all the photos and paintings from the students of NIA. And a video of the employees of NIA chronicling their lives.
Feminism is not about making women strong. Women are always strong. It's about changing the way the world perceives that strength. Every day is a great day to celebrate the amazing women in your life. But International Women's Day gives you an extra reason to celebrate. Today I am going to share some women's story and struggle who all are serving our institute to make easy our day-to-day life at NIA.
नमस्ते सबको, मेरा नाम सुनीता है। मैं आगे बढ़ने का मेरे मामा से सीखा है। खास करके बच्चे लोगों को बहुत पढ़ाया, मामा ने आगे आया है, वो देख के मैं आगे चलना सीखी। मुझे लगता था उधर से ड्यूटी से आकर में आती थी, लेट होता था, फिर भी मैं मेरे हस्बैंड ने गाड़ी ली। गाड़ी लेने से मैं थोड़ा एक दो दिन थोड़ा डर लगा था रोड में, फिर भी मैं भगवान को याद करके हिम्मत करके आगे चलाई हूँ। वो था हिम्मत डरे तो नहीं होता ना, आगे बढ़ना चाहिए, वो एक याद रख के आगे बढ़ी। ऐसा अभी स्कूटी से आने से भी थोड़ा आत्मविश्वास हुआ है। इधर भी करके फिर जाऊंगी, उधर भी हो जाता, थकान लगता है, सबको लगता है, वो भी करना चाहिए। काम करती हूँ, दिल से करती हूँ, सच्चाई से काम करती हूँ, मेरा वही अच्छा लगता है मुझे। నేను ఇంతకుముందు ఏ పని చేయలేదు. నా హస్బెండ్ చనిపోయినప్పటి నుంచి ఎలా పని చేయాలని నేర్చుకున్నాను. ఈ ఎన్ఐటీలో పనిచేసినప్పటికీ నా పిల్లలను నేను ఒకే పోషించుకుంటున్నాను. పనిని పూర్తిగా తీసుకొచ్చారు మేడం వాళ్ళు. ఇప్పుడైతే మంచిగా ఉన్నాను. నా పిల్లలు నేను చాలా వాళ్ళకి పని చేసి నేను వాళ్ళకి మంచి చదివించుకుంటున్నాను. కష్టం అంటే ఏందో నాకు ఇప్పుడు అర్థమైంది. ఎన్నడూలా ఫస్ట్ ఎలా వస్తారో నాకు తెలియదు. ఏదైనా పని చేయాలంటే పని చేస్తున్నాను. ఎన్నడూలా ఇప్పటికైతే బాగానే ఉన్నాను. నాకు ఇక్కడ పని తీసుకున్నందుకు చాలా థ్యాంక్స్.
నమస్తే అందరికి. నా పేరు నాగమణి. నా ఫ్రెండ్ వాణి అనేది తను అన్నది తను చాలా కష్టపడేది. నువ్వు ఎందుకు ఇంత కష్టపడుతున్నావు, హస్బెండ్ ఉన్నాడు కదా అని అడిగాను. అడిగితే తను అన్నది హస్బెండ్ ఉంటే ఏం లాభము, బాగా తిరిగి వాటి చూస్తే అన్ని పిల్లల్ని చూసుకోలేదు కదా, అందుకే నేను కష్టపడుతున్నాను అని తను చెప్పింది. అప్పుడు నాకు అనిపించింది నేను కూడా చేయాలేమో, నాకు కూడా ఇలాగే ఉన్నాడు కదా మా హస్బెండ్ కూడా అనేసి అనిపించింది. అప్పుడు నేను అలా చేశాను. అప్పటి నుంచి నాకు అలాగే స్టార్ట్ అయింది. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ మరి హస్బెండ్ చనిపోయాడు. మళ్ళీ చనిపోయాక నా పిల్లల్ని నేను పోషించుకోవాలి కదా, నా పిల్లలకి సపోర్ట్ కావాలి కదా. నాకేమన్నా అయిపోతే నా పిల్లల సపోర్టింగ్ ఎవరు చూస్తారు, ఎవరు చూడరు కదా. అందుకే ధైర్యంగా నేను ముందుకు వచ్చి నేను ఈ పని చేస్తున్నాను. నాకు చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంది. ఇక్కడ నాకు సార్ వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్, ఇంట్లో మా అమ్మ సపోర్టింగ్, నాన్న సపోర్టింగ్ ఉండేది. నాన్న ఈ మధ్య చనిపోయాడు, ఆ సపోర్టింగ్ కూడా పోయింది నాకు. ఇప్పుడు నేనే కష్టపడాలి, నేనే చూసుకోవాలి, నా పిల్లల చదువులని నేనే చూడాలి కదా. దానికోసమని నేను కష్టపడుతున్నాను. ఇక్కడ పని చేస్తాను, పొద్దుంతా హ్యాపీగా పని చేస్తాను. సాయంత్రం ఇంటికి వెళ్ళాక కాళ్ళు నొప్పి, చేయి నొప్పి అలాంటివన్నీ వస్తూ ఉంటాయి. అన్ని వస్తే తెల్లవారంగానే మళ్ళీ అన్ని మర్చిపోతాను. అన్ని మర్చిపోయి మళ్ళీ డ్యూటీకి వస్తాను. నాకు తప్పదు కదా, నేను డ్యూటీ చేయాలి కదా. దానికోసమని నేను మళ్ళీ డ్యూటీకి రావాలి కదా. పొద్దున్నే తలనొప్పి వచ్చినా, చెవి నొప్పి వచ్చినా, కాళ్ళు నొప్పి వచ్చినా అన్ని వచ్చినాయి. నేను ఇంట్లో కూర్చోలేను కదా. ఇంట్లో కూర్చుంటే నాకు ఎవరు పెట్టారు, నాకు ఎవరు పెట్టలేదు. దానికోసమని నేను డ్యూటీ చేస్తున్నాను. నా డ్యూటీ ఇక్కడ బాగానే ఉంది. నాకు సార్ వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్, వేయడం వాళ్ళ సపోర్టింగ్ ఫుల్ ఉంది. నాకు ఎవరు ఏ కష్టం వచ్చినా అడుగుతారు, అన్ని తెలుసుకుంటారు. ఓకే, నమస్తే.
Like this, as we are, there are many whom we should thank for making our daily working environment vibrant and joyful. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the prize distribution ceremony for the oratory event and for the children. We would request our director, madam, to hand over the prizes. So for the oratory contest, we have 3 prizes. The third prize is awarded to Ms. Drishya Prakashan. Second prize goes to Ms. Deepali Rawat. And the first prize goes to Ms. Riya Sharma. Thank you to all participants. Yeah, everybody will get a participation certificate also. And now we have prizes for the kids who participated. Can we have Samyukt and Yukta, Samarth and Yukta on stage to collect the awards? Samarth, Yukta.
उनको इससे कुछ नहीं लेना देना
Sir, उधर है.
What do you want?
Zahra and Sarah also on stage. Thank you. So before we bring the curtains down on today's event, we would like to call upon Ms. Sonu Gandhi, Scientist D, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Hello. So, very good evening to all of you. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion with a mesmerizing song by Prerna. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our special guest, Professor Lalita from Center of Organization, Hyderabad, who despite her busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. I also express my heartfelt thanks to Professor Lalita for providing the valuable thoughts on how to achieve a work-life balance when it comes to a woman. such as decide your priorities, time management matrix. That was really a wonderful idea that really provide important information to all the women sitting here. I express my gratitude to our respected director, madam, for her encouraging words. Her able guidance has always encouraged us. I thank ma'am for her kindness, stewardship, and continued support to all of us. I thank our ex-director, Subir sir, for his support, vision, and commitment for NIAB. I thank Dr. Hegre for his unstinted support for this event by providing a vision for FIVO region and providing a career guidance to the women students sitting here. I thank all the students who have come forward for the oratory competition and provide their views. And it was a privilege to listen to a very inspirational talk by Professor Chandrima Saha, ma'am, on the occasion of International Women's Day. Dr. Saha insisted that there is still a lacuna that needs to be filled in for representation of women in science. The first thing we need to learn is the determination that we all need to keep in mind whenever we face any difficulties or challenges in our life. Over the top, to make this event a lighter one, the cultural events by NIAB kids and the NIAB students were very refreshing for all of us, and we enjoyed everyone's performance today. I owe my special gratitude to Mr. Santosh, Mr. Jagdishji, and Mr. Pawan, Mr. Ravindranath, and Mr. Ramesh, and the entire team for providing all the support to make the occasion successful. I thank Varat, Amit, Venkatesh, who worked hard to ensure that this occasion becomes a memorable success. A special thanks to Varat and Amit for compilation of a beautiful video. It really took my heart away when I saw the video of the housekeeping staff. That really inspired me a lot and provide us a life lesson that never lose the hope, whatever the challenges you face in your life. Now, we know that we have a lots of women NIABian photographers from the video clip. Last but not the least, I thank all the NIAB fraternity friends for your cooperation in making this event a resounding success. Finally, I leave you with this inspiring quote on the very special day that you are the artist of your own life. Do not hand the paintbrush to anyone else. So believe in yourself and achieve your dreams. Once again, I thank you all for all your kind attention. High tea is waiting for you out. No? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. This wasn't. Okay, so boxes are there. So that will be circulated to all of you. Thank you so much.
म्यूटेशन हो गया है